Hi, this is Bob Cade from the AMD World Championship in Sturgis 2010. I have with me today Danny from Hardnine Choppers. One of the nice features of the AMD World Championship is some of the unique entries that we have. And Danny has certainly hit the top of that list with his modified Harley entry. So Danny, let's talk a little bit about how did you come up with this idea? How long did it take? What were you thinking about? Did you think about where you were going to get the components for this type of execution?
Well, pretty much the idea was when I was cleaning out my room and I found a picture of me sitting on a vintage Hardnine BMX bike from like 78, whatever. And that kind of inspired me a little bit, and really was thinking of which frame and which engine or which bike we want to use for that. So I really dropped on the flathead frame because it's like a really nice frame. It's a tiny bike, it's not that long. Plus the engine is actually small too. So I actually started with that whole thing, getting the frame and getting the engine. I rebuilt the whole engine first. And the next thing, I think, it was cutting out the heads because it's called flathead. That was actually the main work. I did the rebuild of the engine and to cut the head, that was pretty much it. And then I really started thinking about gas tank, oil tank, fenders, headlights and pipes. And the problem is we can't have magnetos in Switzerland because it's against the law. So I had to have thinking of building an oil tank which includes the 6-volt battery in it, which I did, and which pretty good fits. And I made the oil tank actually pretty small because that bike doesn't need a lot of oil, so it keeps the line pretty slim, as like a BMX should look.
Well, I mean, the execution is obviously flawless, but this is not the kind of bike where you go out and you get these components off the shelf or anything. So how did you come about with making this tank and the fenders and decide what the right proportion and everything was? What actually went into making those components?
In Switzerland we have like old vintage like little mofas that really have like just 2-liter like 1-gallon gas tanks, and the top of this gas tank is from them, and the sides I hammered and I gave them like that little curve in it to keep the line back to the seat because the seat is going to be bigger. I knew this one, and then I put the same kind of on the fender too, so it keeps a line from gas tank to fender actually. The fender I hand hammered too at the old tank as a gas tank, and that took me like 4 months because I do work another job at my dad's place, so I can't work really every day on that. But I started the gas tank, I started like 4 times building one, and I was never happy with it till I really found that little vintage gas tank which I cut off and just used the top, including the gas cap, which I thought fits pretty good on that bike.
Well, I noticed you have a Springer front end, but those aren't traditional handlebar mounts or handlebars. What went into doing that, and what other kind of modifications did you have to make on that front end?
The front end, actually, the Springer is original Springer, and I modified, put stronger springs in it because I thought at the beginning, when I want to do that bike, I want to wheelie it or I want to do tricks like you did on a BMX, even it's a 60-year-old Harley. Then I really also wanted to have like certain BMX parts, original BMX parts on it, so which the bar is one. So then I had to get a motocross gas grip from a YZ 250, and I modified the triple trees to get that bar on the original Springer actually.
Well, you've done just a fine job. The colors, the white trim, really there's no question about the BMX heritage for that. I've noticed that you have the wheelie pegs on the rear axles, so how long a wheelie can you do on this thing?
I tried many times. Actually, I tried it before we were even shooting it because I just wanted to try it out so bad. And I did like, I can only say a meter, I did like an 8-meter wheelie. The most problem is because it's hand shifted and you have to stay with your left foot on the clutch and your right foot on the back peg. So if it comes up really high, you have no brake and you can't really press the clutch to make it come down. So it's kind of crazy to do the wheelie. It was more than like, I want to try it out and I just want to do it. Nobody has it done before. But I want to keep further with that bike and do more like little crazy tricks.
Well, we really appreciate it. This is a fine example of the unique creativity that we see here at the AMD World Championship. And thanks a lot, Danny, for coming and taking the time and explaining this project to us. Job well done, man. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much. It's the greatest thing to me to be in church in Sturgis. Thank you.
Hello, this is Suki, and you are watching the AMD World Championships of Custom Bike Building vidcast. We are sponsored in part by Harley-Davidson Motorcycles, Kibble White Precision Machining, and J&P Cycles.